Well, people probably say that, but that's too simple a dichotomy. You can't really.
Yeah.
There are two kinds of people in the world. Shut the fuck up.
Why can't you like both? I personally like both.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard much Elvis since I've grown up. I mean, I remember we did listen to him for a little bit when we were kids. I remember that.
Grandma was a big Elvis fan. She was a faithful guitar. Sometimes he's funny. I don't really care for Elvis these days. It's too rockabilly.
Mm.
It's mostly early Elvis before he got fat and moved to Vegas.
Yeah.
That I like.
Yeah. But I guess because the Beatles were so much more prominent uh, with me, uh, obviously I would lean more, towards them. Uh, Now, I mean, they're not, a main band that I'll listen to all the time. I mean, I know for quite a while, and we kind of still that my sister is still really heavily into the Beatles. I mean, I know that, but because I know there was quite a while now, and yeah, I mean, we've all had our own obsessions. I mean, I know I have. Uh, like I know for like the longest time when I really got hooked into Tool, that was really all I wanted to talk about and all I could talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know for quite a while, Sarah, she was going around and she was collecting a lot of, be it posters or memorabilia or albums or such, of the Beatles, and then and then the different versions of said albums, and then the documentary on them, and and all that good stuff. Yeah. Uh, but when you were saying earlier about lyrics just being a form of or just being used in order to try to convey an image, the first artist that I thought of, who I think really uh, does that a lot, but does it very well, is Tom Waits.
Yeah, he does also tell a lot of different stories.
Yeah, yeah, that too, definitely.
But even in there, he'll use metaphors and non sequiturs that are just meant to add to the mood
Mm-hmm.
and not really be part of the story.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, how do you feel, or like, how would you categorize uh, Faith No More then?
Me?
Yeah.
Alternative metal, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were they're hard to classify because especially once Mike Patton came in, his musical ideas that he developed was just a bungle
Mm-hmm.
that was very experimental. I guess you could say Faith No More kind of rides the line between alternative metal and funk. Suppose if there were three corners meeting, one of them was alternative metal, one was funk metal, and one was experimental metal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Faith No More lives, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But even with them, their albums are quite different from one another.
Yeah.
The Real Thing is really poppy, and it's obviously the best selling album. And you can hear Pat trying to kind of experiment on that album. He's a little constrained. And then Angel Dust is really experimental. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of weird shit going on in there, and it's pretty cool. Then Jim Martin left, and I don't like it as much after he was gone. But
Yeah. I mean, I can still like the King for a Day album, and even the album of the year. In fact, when I first heard the album of the year album, I really only liked one song on that entire album, and and uh, and it wasn't until a couple of years later that I was really able to sit down and listen to the entire album and be like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more going on here than just that. I will admit though, Angel Dust is probably my favorite album of theirs. Uh, I mean, that is one that I will listen to more often than not. I will still listen to the real thing. I can still like it. I just don't like it as much as their later work afterwards. Uh, I imagine you probably, well, hell, I mean, uh, uh, because we were both introduced to Faith No More via the same album, and then when we either went forwards or backwards to look at some of their old stuff, I imagine you really did not care for the Chuck Mosley singer.
I like his voice is really interesting. And he's not a good singer, but
Yeah.
that doesn't really matter for that style. But I don't like that whole album start to finish. But there's an
Have you introduced yourself album?
It's an interesting and important album, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't hate Chuck Mosley.
Oh, well, I wasn't asking if you hated. I just figured like you probably don't care for him as much.
No, I like Pat better. He really was more a driving force in the band. Chuck Mosley came in, he did his bit, and then he left. I don't think he was really in the band. He just did that for them.
Yeah.
Maybe he was. I could be wrong. I don't
know. He was in the band, but then they had to fire him. He was getting a little crazy with his drugs and everything, and his antics.
That happened.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed too when they lost Martin. Well, like there's always this kind of weird thing about that where nobody's really sure exactly what happened. Like there are some people who said that he left. Others said that he was fired, and like nobody was really sure. But I guess a kind of defining argument was that he wasn't really happy with how the new change of the music was going. In that they were shifting so far away from the use of the guitar. Because a lot of the thrash, heavy metal was kind of his style and his genre of music that he brought and that he wanted to bring. But since they weren't really going to be doing that all that much, he just really lost interest, and so he wasn't contributing a lot to it, like as we were recording. And so finally, and I guess after the tour, they were just like, yeah, you know what, you're gone.
It seems like a pretty hard to get along with kind of guy, also.
Mm.
He's a farmer now.
Yeah.
I think they tried to invite him back for a reunion tour.
Yeah, they did.
No, I'm not playing guitar anymore.
Yeah. I will admit, I would like to see if they did, and this probably won't happen, but I would like to hear a new album by them. No. I would just be interested to know, like what they would, do, for a new album. But, and he fascinates me, Mike Patton, he fascinates me so much because he did a Spanish, I guess, pop jazz album, and it was, I guess, all 50s pop jazz. And then he went on tour with it, and he had this full core orchestra with him performing. And then there was this band, Peeping Tom, that he did. They only did one album. It was just something new, and and he's just one of those artists who just continues to fascinate me. Like so many others, where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna do my own thing, and it's gonna be something different each time. I really like it when somebody is really able to do something like that. And okay, so I'm gonna go down the list of like some of my favorite bands that I put together. Uh, I was trying to keep this short. Uh, I mean, it's not that long, but here we go. Okay, going from the top: Tool, Soundgarden, Nine Inch Nails, Faith No More, Rammstein, Tom Waits, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Eminem, Frank Zappa, King Crimson, Nico Vega, A Perfect Circle, Primus, Queen, Rage Against the Machine, Susie and the Banshees, ZZ Top, and Z. These were just a lot of bands that I noticed that I had very large collections of, be it albums and singles and that have been a lot of what I will primarily listen to, just a lot of lately. Uh,
Okay.
what are uh, what are some years that you'll just find yourself as like a default sort of setting for you that like I just want to listen to this today.
Uh, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Aerosmith, Johnny Cash, and a lot of the Beatles, Black Sabbath, and things of that nature.
Hmm.
I even got a little bit of the Who in there.
Cool. Yeah. You, Josh?
These days,
Yeah.
I've been getting really into instrumental music. There doesn't have any singing, so Animals as leaders, Dale the Singer, IO. A lot of experimental mathcore metal like Dillinger Escape Plan. Uh, Cambria, I listen to a lot. Listen to the Beatles a lot. Got a bunch of fun with some here. Um, Sometimes I'll turn on Rush. I have especially a live album Time Machine.
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn that on and listen to it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was gonna mention uh, I made a brief list because I always find it interesting when there's a when there will be like a particular band that maybe a friend of yours likes or like a family member of yours likes that they introduce you to, but you really only like maybe a couple of songs by them. Like I remember you introduced me to the Mars Volta, and I really only like maybe 3 songs of theirs on their I don't know if it is their first album, the D Louse and the Comatorium.
First one.
Yeah, I really only like the first 3 songs on that album, and then it just kind of teeters off for me. There are a lot of other bands where I only like one song by them. Like Black Sabbath, I only like one song by them, and that's their song Paranoia. I mean, I've heard uh, their song Iron Man a lot, obviously. Uh,
Oh, yeah, ever since they
I,
kind of started playing it a lot, ever since the Iron Man movie started coming out.
yeah, and I mean, it's an okay song, uh, but I mean, at the same time, it's a little weak. I mean, just in terms of lyrics, you know.
Mm, a little bit, but
But
I still like it primarily for nostalgic purposes.
yeah,
There's that power chord sound and the I don't know, between Sabbath and Led Zeppelin they gave us heavy metal.
hmm
I don't know, I don't like a lot of the way the production sounds on the older Sabbath albums,
hmm
but you got to appreciate them at least for their place in music history and
hmm Yeah.
what they inspired other people to do, even if you don't like Iron
Yeah. And Black Sabbath. I mean, how many lead singers have they gone through? I mean, I know there's like a roster line of like singers.
I think they've been through at least 4.
I would think it's been at least more than that. Because I know there was Ozzy, and then Dio came in, and oof, Dio. He's just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Dio to me is just too goddamn cheesy.
Yeah, I didn't really like much of their stuff when he was doing the lead singer.
Yeah.
He has a hell of a voice.
What were you saying, Andy?
I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. I know there were a few other guys. There was one guy. He was just a one-timer though, for either like when they performed live, but I can't remember his name. I want to say, for some reason, I want to say Jerry Cantrell, but I know that's not right because that's the guitar.
Yeah.
Fucking change.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name either.
Gary something. I can't remember. But
yeah.
I know they went through a huge, or at least it seems to me like a huge roster of like lead singers. Some would come and go. I know Ozzy came and went like a few times in the later years. I know that. Usually for if they would perform live or something like that, if it was a big reunion tour, they would.
Mostly he just gets back together with Black Sabbath during his Ozfest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And Led Zeppelin, I mean, I wasn't introduced to them until, well, I mean, like the first and only song by Led Zeppelin I had ever heard or really knew about their Stairway to Heaven song. And I remember for the longest time, I mean, never really hearing it. I mean, I maybe heard it once. I remember always thinking like, oh God, that's such cheesy bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And, and I mean, I've never heard the song again, like, since then, but I remember like some odd years later, my dad, he bought me Led Zeppelin. I want to say it was number 3. I don't remember which one it was. I know it was the one that had Black Dog and When the Levee Breaks. And those songs on there. That was kind of my introduction to them, and I was like, oh, wow, this is really good. It's very it's basically it's very old-fashioned rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's very good. Old-fashioned rock and roll.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you about Stairway to Heaven. I know that's kind of the song that made him famous, but I don't like it that much.
It's not the song that made him famous.
What was the song that made him famous?
Well, I don't know if there was any particular single song there. They were one of the biggest acts in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get tickets to see them. They were
sold
they've
out.
written tons of iconics. Stairway gets played a lot now on classic. And people joke about holding up lighters and yelling "Stairway" at concerts and things. Wayne's World made a joke about it, but they were known for lots of tons of other songs besides "Stairway to Heaven."
Yeah.
They were already massively popular when that album came out.
Yeah. One album, well, not album, but I remember one song that I hadn't heard until like after was Cashmere, but I remember I had heard about by name, but had never really heard, and then actually the first incarnation of said song that I heard was the version that Puff Daddy did.
Oh God.
Which I know like everybody hates, and which I perfectly understand, but I mean the reason I like that version is because the guitars on that version is so much stronger and so much harder. and of course, I mean, it helps that both the guitar players are Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine and the actual guitar player Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin actually performing that. And the violins on it also sound a lot better too, um, and a little bit more prominent as well. Puff Daddy's lyrics are not the best, uh, and then of course him over the guitar beat, constantly going, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really irritating, and it does kind of ruin the song a little bit. But I can get over that. I mean, it could be so much worse. It could be the guy from Limp Bizkit, doing,
Oh.
oh yeah. But
You just made me cringe a little there, Jordan.
that's what I do. But yeah, I remember for like the longest time, like my opinion of Led Zeppelin without really even hearing them, and maybe this was, well, you know, well, like that can be covered by anything, when you just kind of whitewash like any genre of music, just based off of just like one band, where you think, oh, that music sucks. Like, have you even heard it? Like, no. Like, then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, listen to it first before you actually make a judge.
Yeah, yeah, which is something I do take to heart now, at least, or at least I try to anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not a big fan of Led Zeppelin. I mean, I do like a good amount of their stuff. Because there is certainly a lot to take in and certainly a lot to enjoy. So,
Yeah.
there were a few others. There's a couple of songs by Pantera that I really like, and then that's kind of it. Butthole Surfers. I've only heard and like one song by them. Like there were so many others, but like I was trying to make this list while at the same time like trying to maintain the rule of like, well, I mean there are only like so many bands, and then quite a few of them I have more than maybe one song. Maybe like 4 or 5 or so. So, or like a band like Queens of the Stone Age. I only like maybe 4 songs of theirs off of their album, the Songs for the Deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried listening to some of their other stuff, and I just couldn't get into it as easily as I was able to get into it on that album. Are there any for you that kind of stick out for you like that, Josh? Where there's a particular band, but you really only like maybe one song by them.
Not that I can think of offhand.
Okay.
I used to do that a lot, but if I find an artist who has a song that I enjoy, I try to investigate their catalog a little more.
Yeah.
So, and I've always been amazed by the number of artists there are out there who write good songs over and over again. It seems like there have to be people out there who really only have one good song in them,
mm-hmm.
or 2 good songs. And if you look, you find that's true. There are plenty of people, they have one good song, and then they're given a contract, and they write this whole album, and there's one good song, and everything else is shit. And then they put out 2 or 3 more albums before enough people don't buy it that they finally are out of a job. And that's sad, but hey, you had your one good song in you. And then there are people, like Lennon and McCartney and kind of those who just seem to be able to keep writing good songs over and over again. And so I don't have a whole lot of one-hit wonders. I can't think of any that I have on my iPod where there's like one song that I like and I don't like anything else of theirs.
Yeah. Are there you, Andy?
I would count Bruce Ray Cyrus's "Achy Breaky Heart," but I got tired of that song because they played it constantly.
Man, I mean, I didn't even like that song the first time I heard it.
I kind of did it first, and then they just start playing it constantly. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm done with this thing now.
Yeah. Well, hell, I mean, when Josh brought up the Richard Marx song, yeah, I mean, that's another one where it's like, I'll have these songs that are songs, that I grew up with as a kid. Like, hell, I have the Dirty Dancing theme song on my frickin' iPod. I don't listen to it that much.
Lord.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. This is why I don't listen to it, because it's overly fucking cheesy. But I can't help but like it, because that's a part of my life.
And, yeah,
guilty.
I would have to say I'm kind of that way with Motley Crue.
Yeah. Again,
it's just something I grew up with, and it reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah. There was only one song by them, but this was like years later that I heard that I liked. That was She's Got the Looks to Kill.
Yeah.
And the only real reason why I like that song is because I really like the guitar on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. Yeah, I was going to say something earlier, but I forgot what. Oh, well.
You need a lozenge or something, Jordan?
No, just the small beginnings of a cold, and this is my third. But trying to think of if there's a particular band or genre of music that you would like to see be done more, or well, like we kind of already covered this, but I mean, like a particular band that you wish was more popular, or that was more prevalent, or that was maybe even still around, performing music, or even just making music.
I would have liked the original members of Guns N' Roses to still be making music, but
yeah,
that can be laid solely on Axl's feet.
Oh yeah. How about you, Jeff?
Other than that, that's the only one I can think of.
What's a band that like you wish was maybe still making music, or that was still together, or
I wish Aaron Freeman would get over his shit and get Ween back together.
I didn't realize that they broke up.
Yeah, well, he was doing a lot of solo stuff, and then he just sort of announced that he was retiring the Gene Ween character when that Ween was no more. Which Gene Ween, his real name is Mickey Melchiondo, came out and said, "You don't quit Ween; it's something that you are."
Yeah.
And he is Gene Ween. He will always be Gene Ween, and someday we'll make music together again. I think for Freeman, it was about. He associates his time in Ween with his total inability to not take drugs, and I believe he's sober now, and so he doesn't want to do Ween, which to me, you're an adult man. Stop pussyfooting around and go sing in the microphone without sticking something in your arm, jackass. But anyway, I wish Harrison and Lennon were alive. Those people were pretty cool. Zappa was alive.
Yeah. How old would Zappa be today?
Zappa would be 73, or he'd be turning 73 this month.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
He'd look better than Jagger does.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to have seen, hell, I mean, I would love to have seen, like, any one of those bands in their prime. I mean, hell, I've seen Tool live in concert like 3 times, but I've never seen A Perfect Circle. I've never seen Jane's Addiction. I've never seen
Saw Jane's Addiction this summer.
Yeah. And you invited me to it, but I couldn't go. I would love to have seen Alice in Chains.
I would saw Alice in Chains too.
Yeah.
Tim Alexander just rejoined Primus.
Oh,
They're
cool.
probably going to record a studio album, and they're already playing shows.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So that is fucking awesome.
That's good. That's good. I would love to have seen Led Zeppelin in their prime. Hell, I would love to have seen Frank Zappa, or like any one of those guys. I would love to see.
I would love to go back to 1988 and see the 1988 Zappa band.
Mm,
That would have been cool.
yeah. Hell, I would have loved to have seen Tool and King Crimson when they were supposed to be performing together. I don't know why I didn't get to see that because, or who knows, maybe I was working and I couldn't get the time off, or maybe they just didn't come through here.
Was that when you were trying to get me to drive to Toronto?
I
Oh, Josh,
don't-
2 hours of show in Toronto. How long would it take to drive there? Like,
Hours?
yeah,
No.
we're not driving to Toronto.
Oh, come on! It's King Crimson! I don't fucking care. No, I had a dream, and I posted this up on Facebook, that I had a dream that you called me on my cell phone, and that you told me, "Hey Jordan, Led Zeppelin is doing a reunion tour, but it's in Russia." And like dead serious, and
Who was playing drums?
I don't know. You just said that they're doing a reunion tour, but it's in Russia, and you really wanted to go, and you were inviting me. And I was like, okay. And then I like woke up halfway through, and then realized like, oh, this isn't really happening. I'm not really on my phone. I'm not holding anything in my hand. And I rolled over and went back to sleep. But I would love to go to another country just to see a band that I love. I'm sorry, but no. I'll come see you when you come to my state.
I would love to do it if I was going there anyway. I'd love to go to London. I'd love to see,
Yeah.
Dillinger. They're in Europe right now. If I could swing both, that'd be cool. But yeah, I'm not going to spend $3,000 to go see.
Yeah. Or hell, another band to add to my list. I would have loved to have seen Faith No More. Granted, the first videotape of theirs that we bought, the video croissants that had them performing live, at the end of it was pretty damn intense and amazing. But it's never the same thing. When you're just watching a recorded performance as opposed to actually being there. And feeling the music, but a kind of reoccurring problem, and this is kind of true of all concerts, but it depends on the audience, where you'll get like that one asshole who's either behind you or just somewhere around you, and they're just providing this large amount of distraction. And it's always because they're drunk. And they're there and they think they're enjoying the show, but they're kind of ruining it for everybody else. Like the last time I saw Tool, I went with my buddy Brett, and there were a few times there was this guy who was he was like a couple of rows behind us, and he was a big guy too. He had this big pink boa, and he was plastered out of his skull. And there were quite a few times he'd be stomping his foot, and we were on risers. So when he stomped his foot, you felt it, like all over the place. He's stomping his foot along to the music. He's being loud. He's saying, "Yeah, fuck yeah, this rocks." And it's just like, God damn it. Could you just shut up and just enjoy the music? I've never understood, moshing or like any of that stuff. and obviously, I mean, you can applause and yell, like, as they finish a song or like as they start a song. But like when a song's playing, I would really much appreciate it if everybody would just shut the fuck up and just listen to the song. But whatever, maybe I'm just too old at this point. But I can't remember what I was going to say earlier. Um, have there been any concerts that you've been able to attend at all, Andy? Or
Uh, no, unfortunately, because I've never had any money.
okay. I think the first concert I went to, I want to say it was either Pat Benatar when Dad took us to go see her, uh, or maybe it was when you took me to go see Tool for the first time. It was either one of those. Uh, but I saw Santana once. Dad took me to go see him. I think it was just after the Supernatural album came out, and I remember it was Pat Benatar and the Sticks were playing that night too. And I haven't seen a lot of shows. You took me to go see Primus a while ago. My only complaint about that show though was that it was 3 hours and there was no sitting. It was all just a standing room, and so like near the end, I'm thinking like, can this end soon? I can't feel my fucking feet. Uh, you know, but it was still a really good show. It was a really good show, and plus, I mean, that was the first time I ever actually saw Primus live. So, so that was a lot of fun. That was really cool. Uh, I haven't seen a lot of personally live shows actually. So, I know that you've seen a lot, but like what are like some major ones for you, Josh?
Summer 2016 came through and played one of the best shows I've ever seen. My only complaint about it was they took too long in between songs.
Hmm.
I saw the Chili Peppers that summer. That was a good show. This summer I bought tickets to the Rockstar X Tour or some. I can't remember the name of the fucking festival. I bought tickets because Creed and Champion were there, and they got rained out, and so they came out and they only played 4 songs. And then Jane's Addiction took their sweet ass time taking the stage. Coheed could have played for another half hour. And then Jane's Addiction came out. And they were all right. And Alice in Chains was all right. They sounded good. Their new singer sounds quite a bit like Lane Staley, but I really wanted to see Coheed, and I didn't get to. Not really. That pissed me off.
Yeah.
Other seen Tool twice. They were good both times. I saw Claypool come through with it wasn't the Flying Frog Brigade. It was, I don't remember what he called. It might have just been called Les Claypool. I mean, he had 2 percussionists and a cellist with him. And that show was pretty fun. That was cool. And then Primus, which was him and Larry Lalonde and Jay Lane on drums. And I like, he was Primus's original drummer. Everybody really thinks of Tim Alexander as being Primus's drummer because he's on all the earliest studio albums, but Jay Lane was the original member of Primus, and he's a great jazz drummer. He played with Charlie Hunter a lot, or at least he used to. And I saw Charlie Hunter. He came through town a couple of years ago, played the Alive After 5, and I hung out afterwards and got to meet him, and he signed some album covers for me and talked about Jay Lane and some of the other musicians he played with. That guy's amazing, Charlie Hunter. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen a lot of shows. Steve Vai, which he came to and then took off because he was doing well. That show was pretty.
Yeah.
That guy's a virtuoso. He can play literally anything from Bach to the crazy, metal guitar solos. He's pretty insane. Well, in fact, when Dweezil Zappa is on tour with Zappa plays Zappa and they do the Black Page, he brings Steve Vai out on stage to play the guitar part.
Awesome.
because that's a really technically difficult piece of music. I used to have the keyboard pieces for like a marimba or a xylophone for the Black Page. And I learned to play the first 3 or 4 measures. And I was very proud.
Well,
It's tough.
cool. What's probably some of your favorite drummers then?
Hmm.
Favorite drummers. Terry Bozzio, Marco Miniman, Tim Alexander, Gavin Harrison, Billy Reimer, Chad Wackerman, Matt Cameron, Danny Carey, Maytel Cohen, who's got a pretty cool YouTube page. She's awesome. Stuart Copeland. I can't remember his name. The guy in Mastodon. I like his style quite a bit. I know I'm leaving off the name. Oh, Carter Beauford. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of really important people. Vinny Colaiuta, one of the best drummers alive. Yeah.
Cool. Very nice.
Yeah. And I can't really think of any.
Well, yeah. Well, mostly, well, yeah. I mean, since you are a drummer, I figured like, well, I mean, you'll know drummers, so. Yeah. The only other drummer or drummers I'm gonna come to mind, to me, we're obviously, Larry or not Larry, Jesus. Tim, Alexander, Danny Carey, or Mike Borden, I believe, from
Mike
Faith No
Borden.
More. And I mean, he's good, but he's not as I want to, I want to say, I guess, constructive or maybe as complicating as Tim or Danny are, where they
Not as, I think he's probably not as technically proficient, but it's not always about
yeah.
how how many notes you can play per second and how many polyrhythms you can play in one hand against the other. But it's also about taste and Faith No More's cover of War Pigs I like better than the Black Sabbath original recording of War Pigs. I think
Me
it's
too.
masterful and the drums are excellent in that song. And yeah, he's not, he probably couldn't keep up with Billy Reimer on the drum set, but he's still an excellent drummer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he doesn't have to play that style. His style is, Brad Wilk. Is not the most technically proficient drummer in the world, but he's got a fantastic ear and he makes beautiful music. He's a great drummer.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was another band I think I forgot to mention on here. Rage Against the Machine. Or maybe I did. I just can't remember if I did or not. But yeah, and well, that was another band that I didn't come across until like many years later. But I was going to touch on this really quickly. What's your guys' overall opinion on rap music? Andy?
Some of it is okay,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, I really don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly the gangster rap or the hip hop.
Yeah. Josh?
There's not a whole lot of rap that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But I would certainly not deign to dismiss the whole genre. There are brilliant and innovative artists in rap, just like in every other genre. And rap, grew out of a poetic tradition, but was also influenced by jazz and blues. And obviously, it grew from African American neighborhoods, especially in New York and major cities. And it's one of, I'd have to say, one of two major art forms that developed in the United States, jazz and rap, the major musical art we can't claim we can claim the inspiration for rock and roll, but we can't just claim rock and roll since there were contributors from England and stuff like that. But rap is an American invention, and it rules the world. I mean, it's incredibly well selling. Pop and rap are two of the biggest genres commercially in the music industry. Um, do I like a lot of it? No, not really. But there's a lot of it that I can listen to and recognize. Wow, that guy's really good at what he's doing, and sometimes the first of all, ironically, often the lyrics in rap are better than lyrics in rock. They do some things lyrically that are while maintaining a rhyme scheme, sometimes in syncopated rhythms that are ear bending and bringing the rhyme back around later, spot where you don't expect it, and it can be really cool. You listen to it and go, holy shit! If you know what you're listening for, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
Some of those guys are really gifted at that, and even when there's a rap song that I like, I don't like to listen to it all the time. It's just not my thing. I like guitars and drums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, but there's plenty of worthwhile stuff in that genre, and a lot of people love it.
Yeah. How would you classify Rage Against the Machine then? Because I know I was having this conversation, I think, with Sarah a while ago, where I said like, well, I mean, they are very much a rap, rock group, but she dissuaded that argument, saying that well, they don't have whatever sort of effective music they sometimes use in rap. Where I guess it's
Table.
I guess is maybe what she meant.
But that is the tradition in hip hop, and so it's sampling where you take bits of other pieces of music and splice it in, and in that way it's kind of a lot of rap uses sound collage type. It's really more sophisticated than people give it credit for. But Rage Against the Machine are a kind of genre-defining band. De La Rocha, I believe, tried to create his own term for what they did. He called it rhythm rock. That never really caught on. He's the only one who says that. But I think that's perfectly appropriate. It's like a funk metal band where the guitar obviously has a kind of a heavy metal edge, like a very Black Sabbath influence.
Yeah.
Down to it, where he's got these really bluesy, heavy riff-driven melodies with a metal guitar sound, but a funk feel and a real sense of pocket and that kind of, the syncopated groove to it, especially when you throw the bass and the drums in. A lot of the bass lines are very funk-inspired, and the drums are pretty funky. And you put that all together, and it's this kind of funk metal sound. It's sometimes a little bit reminiscent of like some Faith No More, maybe. Quite a bit different from Faith No More, but inspired by a lot of the same things, a lot of heavy inspiration from Black Sabbath and from hip hop. And then over the top of that, instead of doing really any singing, De La Rocha raps. So they're hard to classify because you can't really put them in rap. They don't sound anything like Ice Cube or Ice-T or Snoop Dogg or Eminem or anything like that. But they also don't really sound like Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
So they're pretty genre defined. They're their own thing. They're rock.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was going to say, because quite a while ago I got into a little bit of Eminem, and then I really started listening to a little bit more of his stuff. And I can certainly, I can just respect the shit out of him, just purely as an artist, because, like you were saying earlier, with how a rap artist can take what they're doing with their lyrics and how they can bring about their rhyming scheme, and then the rhythm that they use, along with whatever music that they're using or sampling, and how they can just make it just so perfect to the point where you're just like, good God, that was amazing. It's just something where it's just always very impressive when you're able to come across somebody who's able to do that and just do it so well. But yeah, there's not a lot of rap music that I listen to. I mean, hell, I remember one one rap song that we listened to a lot as kids was the "Bring the Noise" song that was done by um, Anthrax and Chuck D.
Originally, it was a Public Enemy song, and then they
Yeah,
recorded another version of it with Anthrax.
yeah, and
We also have that whole Digital Underground album.
yeah. I mean, I remember there were only like the four songs that we listened to, all of which I now have on my iPod, and a few others. Yeah, I mean, I have a Kanye West song. There's like one song by him that that I can really like.
Just that new one?
Black Skinhead. Yeah.
No. Bound to.
No.
Wasn't there.
No. I haven't heard that one.
It's gone off. Everybody hates it. It is universally hated.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's awful. Even all the people who respect Kanye as a musical genius, because I have heard almost no Kanye West. I can't comment one way or the other on the guy. It's very critically acclaimed. I assume a lot of the music that he makes is very good. The song "Bound to" is not one of those. It is awful. It's an embarrassment.
I haven't heard it. I did hear about, I guess a little while ago, he was doing an interview with somebody online, and he freaked out, and he just started screaming about, "I am the most amazing artist on this planet!" Like, you need to calm the fuck down, and you need to pull your head out of your
Well,
ass.
I saw an interview he was giving where one of the guys was being pretty hard on him and calling him out on all of his hypocrisy, which, okay, I get it, but is that really, you don't give him any warning, you're going to invite him on your show as a guest and then kind of ridicule him? Maybe that's what it was. And in which case, he lost his temper. I totally understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, well, I don't know if that was what happened for this interview either, but yeah, I think we will try to wrap it up here. I want to try to leave that on something somewhat poignant, but that is completely out of my grasp. But if you had to sum up uh, music, how would you want to do it, Josh?
Sum up the music.
Well, maybe not sum up music, but uh, it was, I mean, it's obviously another medium, much like uh, reading or just uh, or the media or whatever. It is another medium, but it's a very important medium. I mean, it's one. I mean, it's just one more thing that has just inspired uh, so many people, and you know, and obviously it just continues to. Uh, it's very important, and kind of in this day and age, what's popular, it's it's just a little disappointing, to see how music has come to this point.
I think you could say that in any age. If I picked you up right now and plonked you down in the 1980s and turned on pop radio, you'd go, "Oh, this is disappointing."
Yeah,
There's always, better music out there. And better music, again, is a subjective term. I would say, first of all, I don't think it's right to lump music in with, when you say the media, I assume you mean like newspapers and TV and stuff. I disagree with that completely. Music is one of the arts, like
yeah,
drama, writing, the visual arts, and music. It's one of the arts. And the arts are much maligned, at least in our society, when it comes to funding the education thereof or the exhibition thereof. And I think that's a shame because the things that are necessary for human survival are food, water, shelter, that kind of thing. And, if we didn't live in the kind of technological society that we live in, the vast majority of your day would be spent in the attempt to obtain food, water, and shelter. But once you have those things, as a human being with a brain that is capable of operating on much higher levels than simply the search for sustenance, what is it that we do? What do we do once we have food, water, and shelter? We make art. It's what we do. We dance, we sing, we craft songs, we make beads, we sculpt things, we tell stories. It's a quintessential part of being human. There's no human alive with a fully functional and correctly working brain who doesn't persist in at least the attempt of some artistic endeavor, be it storytelling or drawing a picture or painting or singing or dancing or something. It's the truest expression of the poetry of our souls. When we look out at the amazing world around us, the universe above us, that we're only able to comprehend because of our massively over-equipped brain, our response to that is, to the wonder that we feel to see that, is art. It's the creation of images or moments or sounds organized and grouped and put forth with intent in order to tell a story or to explain a feeling or to transcend language and depict an emotion from one human being to another. That's what music is. And it is nearly as vital to us as oxygen, food, and water.
I would definitely agree with
Yep, I would too.
that. All right. Well, everybody. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you still are at all, I would of course like to thank my brother once again for agreeing to be on the show. And hopefully we will see you guys next time. Ciao.
Goodbye, people.
Let me take a minute and tell you my plan. Let me take a minute and tell who I am. If this doesn't show, then you better know I'm another person.